Warrior's Final Hour, written by Logan Highsmith, co-author Thaddeus Lawrence, and Chapter 1. The summer break zoomed by in the blink of an eye, reminding me of how swiftly time can pass. It's astonishing how the truth about the world's wickedness can make time seem even more fleeting. It's like a snare, designed to destroy you from the moment you enter this world. In our current society, being different feels like a crime, as if we have control over who we are. Trusting anyone becomes an arduous lesson that we learn the hard way. Initially, I didn't pay much attention to it, but now it has reached an alarming level. In this world, we are mere puppets, doing only what we are commanded. If a friend tells you to eliminate someone just because they are different, you either comply or face abandonment. I know this because most of my childhood friends have turned against me for daring to be different. And at the center of all this evil, at least in Forney, targeting me and my friends, is a girl named Peyton. I discovered her true nature a few months ago, and to make matters worse, she used to be my girlfriend. Peyton and I broke up when I uncovered her dark secret. Justin and I unraveled her involvement in manipulating our friend group, the Warriors, and that's why we disbanded the group but remained friends. It's bewildering to realize that the people we thought were our enemies, the ones the Warriors fought against, are actually somewhat on our side. So many people have suffered because of this, and if we don't put an end to it, who will? Didn't you mention something about a school tour or reunion later today? Thaddeus inquired. Yes, hopefully it won't take too long, and I'll be back before the day ends, I replied. I was spending the day at Thaddeus's house, and I had a school activity scheduled in a few hours. Justin was also present, while the others were absent. Logan, aren't you worried about her showing up? Justin asked. It's just mind-boggling when you really think about it, I exclaimed. It was truly astonishing, but that doesn't imply that I had no friends in school. Grant, Hulla, Dyson, Ryan Unruh, Zach, and Azzy were some of the people I considered friends. However, you can never truly determine who your real friends are, can you? It's always important to stay cautious and keep your guard up. Feeling a bit peckish before you head out? Thaddeus inquired. Absolutely. What's on the menu? I eagerly responded. Well, we've got crackers and pudding for a quick snack, and we also have some bread if you fancy a sandwich, Thaddeus offered. I'll go for a sandwich, but a bit of pudding sounds delightful too, I exclaimed. After enjoying a small lunch, to my surprise, it was not yet time to depart. Logan, you should reach out to your friends and inquire if they plan on attending the event, Justin suggested. Following his advice, I sent text messages to my friends, but only received a response from Dyson, who confirmed his presence at the event. Finally, the moment to leave for the event arrived when my father knocked on the door with a rhythmic beat. As I made my way out, I caught Lilith's voice echoing from upstairs, shouting to Thaddeus, "Hey Thaddeus, what happened to all the pudding?" In the off chance that someone were to ask, I would vehemently deny any involvement in its vanishing act. I hopped into the car and we made our way to the school, which was conveniently located near my house. Entering the premises, I was met with diverse gazes from the individuals present. A few greeted me cordially, while others exhibited a less amiable demeanor, typical of the prevailing societal attitudes. As I entered the designated area, I was cordially welcomed by Dyson along with Kalarian and Aj. As we exchanged greetings and caught up on each other's lives, Aj joined in on our conversation. It was evident that despite the time that had passed, our bond and camaraderie remained intact. Aj's remark, "Hey Logan, it's been a while," was a simple yet sincere acknowledgement of the passage of time. Without hesitation, I responded with, it's only been a summer. This exchange highlighted the fact that while our physical meetings may have been infrequent, the value of our friendship had not diminished in any way. In the midst of our catching up, Kalarian stated, "You heard they have food trucks outside, right?" which was enthusiastically met with a resounding yes from all of us. After a period of time, I found myself disassociated from the remainder of the group. However, I did encounter Ryan and Ra, who had recently arrived. The atmosphere was buzzing with excitement as individuals flocked towards the football stands area in preparation for the much-anticipated pep rally. Casually indulging in some snacks, a thought crossed my mind: what harm could it possibly do? Justifying my actions, I reasoned that my consumption only consisted of 2 tacos, an ice cream sandwich, and a soda, a relatively modest amount. Ryan and I navigated the ascending stands, cautious of any potential collisions or missteps that could lead to an unfortunate descent on our part. Our objective was to reach the summit of the stands, a feat that required a deliberate and steady approach. After all, a loss of balance and subsequent tumble would prove to be quite unpleasant. The spirited pep rally came to an abrupt end, leaving us all energized and eager for the approaching school year. As my own father was unable to provide transportation, Ryan's parents graciously offered to drive me home. A sense of anticipation and trepidation consumed me, as I was well aware of the impending fate that awaited me on the initial day of classes. The dawn of one final chapter upon me. Chapter 2. Throughout all of my experiences leading up to this moment, my life has been characterized by a constant stream of tumultuous events, seemingly without any resolution in sight. The sensation of being observed, of having one's every move scrutinized, is a disquieting experience. The notion that one's actions are being closely monitored creates a sense of unease and vulnerability. Undoubtedly, it was evident to us that we were under constant surveillance by the corporeal entities sporting cerulean hues. From the very inception of my arrival in Grey Oak, every action taken was meticulously orchestrated to portray me in a negative light, a vile being, a contemptuous individual, or any other undesirable label. As a result, a significant populace has turned their loyalties against me. It is a cruel reality that we live in a world where trust is easily broken and perceptions are easily manipulated. We are taught to believe in the good of people, to see the best in them. But sometimes, this naive belief can be taken advantage of, leading us down a path of betrayal and pain. The sad truth is, we often trust blindly, not questioning the validity of the information we are given. And in doing so, we become pawns in someone else's game, turning against the first person who seems to be in the wrong. We are left feeling confused and hurt, not understanding how someone we trusted could betray us in such a way. During a conversation with Grant in the auditorium, his statement caught my attention. He remarked, "For all I know, you may start believing in the existence of aliens next. I cannot comprehend what has been occupying your thoughts lately, Logan. Peyton is just like the rest of us." To which, I responded, "Are you truly stating this after the incident where she attempted to manipulate me into almost causing harm to Hala?" Upon reflecting on my statement, Grant conceded, "I suppose your point is valid." In order to further clarify my stance, I added, "If you have any doubts, you may verify the facts with Hala herself." The day continued on in a normal fashion, at least until I ran into Peyton in the hallway. "Oh, it's you," Peyton exclaimed. I was going to say something, but then she interrupted. "I'll tell you this, I broke up with you for reasons you don't need to know," and walked off like I didn't know what was going on. During a recent advisory class, a notification was relayed through the announcements regarding the upcoming homecoming event in a few weeks. My personal thoughts were that the possibility of securing a date for this occasion seemed implausible. Later in the day, I took my seat in my history class and was joined by a familiar face, instantly recognizable as Abigail Easter, whom I had previously known from our shared experience in the choir during our 6th grade year. "Hey Abby," I began, uncertain if she would recall my identity. Initially, she met my greeting with a vacant expression, indicative of her lack of recognition, before uttering, "Logan, if memory serves, I had presumed you met your demise on that one night." When inquiring about my absence, I posed the question, "You mean when I had that one seizure?" To which Abby responded, "Indeed, no communication was received from you following that incident." I then brought to attention, could this have coincided with the transition to virtual communication? Abby inquired, "Could you please elaborate on your activities in the past years?" To which I responded, "I have been the focal point of numerous individuals' games. I was most likely not going to attend the homecoming, for I have been informed that a date is a prerequisite for entrance." "Great," I exclaimed. Just when I thought I could escape the pressures of high school dating, it managed to sneak up on me again. A few days earlier, Diego, being the good sport that he is, offered some words of consolation and reassurance. "Don't worry, my friend," he said, "there's still time to find a suitable date. Remember, fortune favors the bold." Ah yes, the classic cliché, easier said than done. But little did I know, a glimmer of hope was about to present itself in the form of my dear friend Abby. As we discussed our plans for the homecoming dance, she nonchalantly suggested, "I could be your date." My eyes widened in disbelief as I clarified, "You don't have a date either." To which she confidently responded, "Nope, and according to the unwritten rules of high school, we are the perfect candidates for each other's company." As the realization sunk in, I couldn't help but laugh at the irony of it all. Who would have thought that my lack of a date would unite me with my friend as potential homecoming companions? Excitement bloomed within me as I eagerly accepted Abby's proposal. After all, what's better than attending a high school dance with someone who knows all your quirks and still chooses to spend time with you? After arriving at my home, I engaged in conversation with Thaddeus and the others. Thaddeus expressed his support and exclaimed, "Congratulations, my friend." Meanwhile, Grayson advised me to not jeopardize my plans before the upcoming homecoming event. However, upon my parents' and Alexis' discovery of my intention to go to the event with Abby, the familiar banter of teasing ensued as is customary in the dynamic of our friendship. The next day, all of us were given our advisory period modified, and my horrific luck might have it, I got put within the same class as Peyton and her new boyfriend Jose. Now, what befell next was honestly stupid. Cole, who was a pal from like middle school, thought he was playing a harmless joke by way of stating, "What's up Peyton, I heard Logan is taking Abigail Easter to the homecoming dance." This began an entire other chain of activities. I knew they liked every other. Peyton said, "We're simply going as pals," I stated. "Why are you being so defensive about it?" Peyton said. I turned the tables on her, pointing out my. A few weeks went by just like that, and it became time for homecoming night. I could not believe this night was here, the school lit up and everything. Abby and I joined Grant and Hula at the front entrance. The commencement of the evening was in its nascent stage. As the evening of homecoming unfolded in a relaxed manner, I found myself in a predicament when Abby had to depart early and extended an invitation for me to accompany her. Ignoring her suggestion, I instead opted to continue my presence at the event. It was only in hindsight that I realized my error in not heeding Abby's advice. Several days later, during the late hours of the night, I found myself cycling through the Grey Oak area without any particular plan or activity to engage in. It was during this aimless journey that I spotted a peculiar light in the sky. As Justin had previously described, this light encompassed all the elements of the drones from the images, a triangular shape, and a striking blue hue. This realization shed light on the reason behind their elusive nature during the daytime, as their color seamlessly blended in with the sky. The hovering drone seemed to be observing my every movement before abruptly and swiftly proceeding towards the vicinity of the school. In the blink of an eye, these protectors had vanished into the distance, leaving me in shock at what I had just witnessed. Chapter 3. The following morning, I was awakened by the sound of conversations downstairs. Curious, I peered out the window and noticed Grandma Sue's car parked in our driveway. This was unusual as she typically only came when she wanted to spend time with us or needed assistance with Aunt Jennifer's DVD player. For those unaware, Aunt Jennifer is my dad's sister, thus making Grandma Sue his mom. I'm sure that last bit was already understood, but I just wanted to clarify. It has been a few weeks since Aunt Jennifer suffered a fall that resulted in a broken leg. As a result of this unfortunate incident, she was hospitalized for a period of time. As I exited my bedroom, a foreboding sensation engulfed me, causing me to anticipate a distressing event. Tears welled up in my father's eyes, a clear indication of his profound apprehension. It was palpable, the fear that something dire was on the horizon. It was at this point that the situation took a turn for the complex. As I approached my father with a heavy heart, I posed the question, "May I know what has transpired?" To my dismay, he responded with deep sorrow, "Aunt Jennifer has departed from us last evening." His eyes were still brimming with tears as he conveyed this devastating news. "Could you kindly inform me of the time at which she passed away?" I politely inquired. My father replied, "At 9:30, presumably within an hour of you deciding to retire for the night. It may be prudent for me to initiate a discussion with Thaddeus and the others regarding the incident that transpired. According to my Grandma Sue, the cause of Aunt Jennifer's death was a heart attack, which coincided strangely with the aforementioned timing. Later in the same day, I was able to establish communication with Justin, Thaddeus, and Grayson. Knox had relocated earlier in the year. Justin expressed his hesitation, stating, "One cannot help but consider the peculiar coincidence of her passing and the sighting of the drones." Before he could finish his thought, I interjected, "Indeed, the timing does seem suspect, Grayson." Turning to me, Thaddeus issued a directive, "Logan, I have a request for you. It is imperative that we reconvene the group, starting with Nathaniel." Dyson pedaled down the street on his bicycle and expressed, "I am able to provide additional aid, if needed." The others and I were going to find out Peyton's true intentions, hopefully stopping whatever it was before anyone else got hurt. This is where things started to get complicated. Chapter 4. Upon reaching Nathaniel's residence, Dyson and I proceeded to knock on his door, only to find ourselves waiting for what seemed like an eternity, approximately 5 minutes, although in all honesty, it felt much longer. Just as we were about to give up and depart, the door swung open to reveal an older boy inquiring as to our identities. Nathaniel's older brother Ernest introduced himself with a curious tone. Eager to make our purpose known, I promptly introduced us. "I'm Logan and this is Dyson," before posing the question of Nathaniel's whereabouts. The tension in the air was palpable as we awaited a response from Ernest, hoping for some insight into whether Nathaniel was present or not. As Ernest pivoted on his heels to make his way indoors, he called out to Nathaniel, his voice echoing through the house, "Nathaniel, your friends are here. May I inquire as to the present company?" Nathaniel inquired. It appears that Logan Person is among them, Ernest exclaimed. Very well, I shall join them, Nathaniel declared. Upon reflection of the past year, I am compelled to discuss the numerous events that have transpired. I have found myself at a loss for where to even commence in recounting these experiences to Nathaniel. As I relayed the details to him, he was taken aback by the gravity of the situation. His response, in the form of a questioning confirmation, demonstrated his astonishment and desire to grasp the situation accurately. Hey, do I know you? Nathaniel inquired to Dyson as we all hopped on our bikes to pedal away. I don't think we've crossed paths before, Dyson replied. But you have a sister named Raven, right? Nathaniel popped the unexpected question. Oh good, the restraining order hasn't been filed yet, Dyson joked. I mean yeah, that's my sis. How did you know? Oh, we happen to attend the same school. And speaking of Raven, how's she been? Nathaniel slyly grinned. Whoa there, buddy. I know where you're going with this, and let me tell you, she's way out of your league, Dyson chuckled. The next day at school, I finally heard back from Jack. Never thought that would happen, and honestly, had things been a little different it probably would not have. Utilizing a computer website for communication, Jack and I were in constant text exchange while he was absent from school. In an effort to keep him updated, I provided a detailed account of all the occurrences. Even the events that might make someone call you crazy, as I was about to learn the hard way. In the context of an English class, upon completing all of my academic tasks, I engaged in a conversation via text message with Jack. My inquiry to him was as follows: in the event that one was subjected to unjust treatment from others, how would you react? With enthusiasm, I eagerly awaited Jack's response. He replied, personally, I would reciprocate the animosity and disdain towards all individuals involved. When I received unsettling news the following day while at home, I learned that my acquaintance, Terry, who has observed me since childhood, experienced a vehicular accident when her car overturned due to unexpected gravel on the road. Her current state, suffering from physical injuries, has rendered her hospitalized. Naturally, I was distressed by this event and sincerely hoped for her recovery. It is distressing to think that she may succumb to her injuries, especially considering the mysterious circumstances leading to the accident. It is disconcerting to consider that this may mark the second passing of a close family member in a hospital within a relatively short period of time. I cannot help but ponder the likelihood of this tragedy potentially repeating itself, as my Aunt Jennifer had passed away less than a month prior. These unforeseen events cause me great concern and raise questions surrounding the true cause of Terry's accident. How could something as mundane as gravel have possessed the strength to overturn a vehicle? The thought alone is enough to send chills down the spine. Yet, while most were ignorant to the danger that lurked among us, there were those who were privy to the truth. Thaddeus and I, as well as the others, were in on the chilling secret, while individuals like Jack and our very own parents remained oblivious. The disturbing realization that we were surrounded by a malicious force, with sinister intentions, is enough to make one's blood run cold, and the scariest thing of all is that at first glance she looks just like the rest of us. As time passed, the gravity of the situation weighed heavily on my mind. Jack and I engaged in countless discussions, but each time, I was met with the same disbelief and skepticism. Why not just change schools if you hate people that much? Jack's words pierced through me like a knife. But I knew deep down that it wasn't that simple. The situation would follow me, like a shadow that I could never escape. Desperation and fear clutched at my throat as I tried to explain my predicament to Jack. But how could I possibly tell him about the sinister drones that plagued my every move? No, I couldn't risk him thinking I was insane. So instead, I simply replied, "There are some things I can't share." But Jack's doubt only seemed to grow stronger. His accusatory message cut through the air like a tsunami, drowning out my already trembling voice. "You know, it really seems like you're making this up. But mark my words, I won't be there when you go mad and shoot up the school. And when you're rotting away in prison and burning in hell, you'll know I was right all along." His words struck me like a bolt of lightning, igniting a deep fear within me. The image of myself locked in a cell, or reeling in flames for eternity, was enough to make my blood run cold. But Jack's final words pierced me the most. "Goodbye, Logan, and good luck." Chapter 5. The passing of Terry came as a sudden shock upon my return home from school. In addition to this saddening news, I discovered some other pertinent information. In the following months, I was informed that one of my former educators would be organizing a dance event for individuals on the autism spectrum, appropriately titled Night to Shine. Without hesitation, I eagerly considered taking Abby along with me to this occasion. However, it wasn't until a few months later. On that particular day, my companions and I had arranged to convene at the nearby park. As we gathered, I took note of a new addition to our group whom I could not place. The individual approached and addressed me directly. "Logan, do you not recognize me?" Initially, I was unable to place the unfamiliar face, responding with a simple, "No, I do not." However, as the realization dawned upon me, I recognized the person as Brennan. I hastily greeted him with an enthusiastic, "Oh, hey Brennan." Brennan provided a comprehensive overview of the events that transpired in his life during his absence, and likewise, I reciprocated in sharing a recollection of my own experiences. As the evening wore on, it was time for all of us to depart and make our way back to our respective homes. It struck a nostalgic chord within me, reminiscent of simpler times in my childhood when I first settled in the neighborhood of Grey Oak at the age of 12. During the occasion, Sam was observed to be in attendance alongside him. It was apparent that both individuals had undergone significant transformations, seemingly indicating the potential for evolution and alteration within individuals over a period of time. Lily and Austin had also embarked upon a romantic relationship, a development that may have surprised many. It serves as a reminder of the fleeting nature of time and its ability to bring about unforeseen circumstances. The next day, I sat in my advisory class, impatiently waiting for the day to be over. Little did I know that the next few minutes were going to be filled with dread and terror. Suddenly, amidst the background noise of chatter and keystrokes, I overheard a conversation that would change the course of my day. Peyton's words pierced through the air like a sharp blade. "You heard about that Night to Shine dance Logan is going to, right?" My heart stopped beating for a moment as I turned my attention to the source of the conversation. My mind raced, trying to make sense of what I just heard. But before I could even process the first shock, Jose's voice added a layer of horror to the situation. "Yeah, are you thinking we should go together?" It was like a nightmare come to life. Peyton and Jose, together at the Night to Shine dance. The very thought made bile rise in my throat. My mind immediately jumped to the worst-case scenario. They couldn't possibly be planning to attend the dance as a couple, could they? The idea of them ruining the night for me and Abby filled me with an indescribable sense of dread and anger. A few weeks later, I mustered the courage to confide in my parents about my plans for my upcoming birthday celebration. Alongside my birthday festivities, I had organized a game truck event for my friends, as well as invited schoolmates and the neighborhood children to join us in the month of February. Recent changes in the romantic relationships of Erch and Kalarian had caused quite a stir amongst their social circle. A tumultuous argument ultimately led to their breakup, and Erch swiftly moved on to pursue a relationship with Maddie Ware. However, the new couple's bliss was short-lived as false information circulated about Erch's intentions to end the relationship, leading to Maddie's abrupt decision to end things. As is often the case, such is the nature of interpersonal dynamics. The evolution of Peyton's strategies has been increasingly concerning as of late. It appears that she has honed her wit and cunning in her endeavors. On one particular occasion, she resorted to utilizing young men to assault me in the competitive gymnasium, and even went as far as to have them threaten me with my mother's personal information. This blatant aggression serves as solid evidence that Peyton was indeed the orchestrator of this heinous act, as she had talked to my mom over the phone before. The aforementioned circumstance also led to a renewed interaction between myself and Jack, as I was able to communicate with him through alternate channels. Upon relaying the details of the occurrence, although it required some time for him to accept, it ultimately resulted in a positive resolution. I spoke to Thaddeus, Justin, and Nathaniel at home. "So, what do we do now?" Nathaniel asked. "We wait for the dance, I think I said. And if Peyton shows up," Thaddeus said, "we'll stop her." "Well, I'll stop her with your help since you can't be at the dance," I said. "In the worst case, call me on the walkie-talkie. We can't do anything else, but do it anyway," Thaddeus said. Chapter 6: Dyson's upcoming birthday celebration. My own celebration a week after, and the impending Night to Shine dance had been on my mind recently. Fortunately, I had recently received news that a few of my former acquaintances, such as Chase, would be in attendance. While dining at the reputable Texas Roadhouse with my family, I noticed Mr. Wetzel, though initially unaware of Sheen's presence beside him. Attempting to make conversation, I inquired about Hunter's whereabouts. Mr. Wetzel replied that Hunter had remained at home, asleep. Reflecting on the fact that individuals like Huller were still privy to some of Peyton's actions, I pondered how I could potentially convince Grant. A year prior, I had disclosed to him that I had grown distant from Huller due to a nonsensical dream. Much to my relief, Grant had believed my explanation at the time. "Oh, hey Sheen, it's been a while," I stated. Cheyenne and Mr. Wetzel had departed, me and my family partaken in the evening meal. One matter that continues to weigh heavily on my conscience is the act of deceiving Grant, as I did not wish for him to perceive it as an attempt to harm Huller. Most recently, Mr. Hunt, my esteemed art instructor, imparted some wise words that hold great significance. He declared, "This world is never going to change unless you step up and say this isn't okay." Such a statement immediately resonated with me, prompting the recollection of hearing it before. As the days went by, I found myself continuously privy to discussions between Peyton and Jose regarding my past. Their exchanges often centered around the hardships I endured, with sympathetic phrases such as "that unfortunate girl, she endured great suffering as a consequence of his actions," clearly referring to Catherine. It was certainly disheartening to be constantly reminded of such harrowing moments. In due time, however, their conversations began to shift towards individuals like Brennan, and eventually escalated to include the occurrences involving Huller. It seemed evident that their intentions were to provoke a reaction from me, trying to get me to snap under pressure from the pain. As the days ticked by, my guilt only grew. I had deceived Grant. I knew I couldn't keep up the pretense any longer. The truth needed to come out, no matter how difficult it would be for both of us. I couldn't deny it any longer, the dream I had claimed changed everything between Hala and I was a complete fabrication. I had to tell Grant the real reason behind my hatred for Peyton. Perhaps this time, he'd finally understand and believe me. The moment had arrived, and I could feel the weight of my words heavy on my tongue. My heart racing, I took a deep breath and prepared to deliver the crucial piece of information that could change everything. Heart racing, I finally mustered the courage to reveal the truth that had been weighing on me for the past year. I took a deep breath and blurted out, "Grant, I need to tell you what really happened last year." His eyes widened in surprise and he leaned in, urging me to continue. "Go on," he exclaimed, eagerly awaiting my confession. With shaky hands, I began to recount every last detail of the events that had transpired. I told him about the lies, the betrayal, and the heartache that I had endured. I held nothing back, determined to finally clear my conscience and make things right. As I finished my tale, I looked up at Grant with hopeful eyes. "So, do you believe me?" I asked, my heart pounding in my chest. Without hesitation, Grant's face softened and he replied, "Of course I believe you. I just wish you had told me sooner." Relief flooded through me as I realized that he was still on my side, despite everything that had happened. As the weight of my secret was lifted off my shoulders, I couldn't help but feel a sense of triumph. I had finally come clean. Chapter 7. Reflecting on the past events, a memory resurfaced in my mind. What information had I truly disclosed to Grant last year? I recalled being present at Grant's residence on the day we indulged in McDonald's. However, it was not only Grant whom I had deceived, but also Peyton. In actuality, when the incident occurred, I initially sided with Peyton until I reached out to Jack and he revealed that he had not been assaulted. Following this realization, I resorted to fabricating a dream. Unfortunately, my attempt to deceive Peyton was short-lived. As expected, she eventually caught on to my tactics. After all, deceit breeds deceit. However, the question on everyone's mind is, why did Peyton choose to fabricate a story about a plague doctor? According to Jacob's insight, it was a convenient excuse for her refusal to see their face. He had a valid point. In hindsight, I cannot deny that I wish I was to have discovered the truth sooner rather than later. But it still begs the question, why did I feel the need to play this game in the first place? Relationships are built on trust and honesty, not on manipulations and mistruths. In retrospect, it would have been beneficial if I had disclosed the true situation to Grant at an earlier juncture. Even if I had taken this course of action, it is likely that the ultimate result would have been the same, only expediting the process. Upon encountering an entrance to the sewer area, Dyson and I were deep in conversation when a startling revelation surfaced. In response to my particularly poignant narrative, Dyson exclaimed, "That's a truly melancholic tale, and in light of it, you resorted to deception with the intent of assisting Grant and Hala after recognizing the gravity of the situation." As we continued to explore our surroundings, the weight of this exchange lingered in the air. It was only 2 days until Dyson's upcoming celebration, and not long after that, the game truck, as well as Night to Shine. I should say me and Dyson were enjoying our time at the sewer until some Karen lady came and stated, "Hey, I saw you touching my dog, I'm gonna call the police." Me and Dyson knew it was time to go. Time was ticking far faster than I had anticipated, the final hour not far. Chapter 8. While conducting a thorough search through my personal belongings, I came across a notable item that had been misplaced. My diligent efforts led me to an unexpected discovery, a necklace adorned with a heart-shaped pendant. As I recognized this accessory, a recollection sprang to mind. It had been gifted to me by Hala during our 6th grade year. Notably, this was also the very same day I had an initial encounter with her brother Ryan. As the anticipation for the upcoming soiree grew, it was evident that the countdown to Dyson's party had come down to a mere 24 hours. In addition, the festivities extended to the crescendo of my own celebratory affair, marked by the highly anticipated Night to Shine dance. Seeing as I want the inclusion of a descriptive chapter to extend beyond a mere 2 pages, this chapter will provide a detailed account of the day's events. It follows myself, and an individual from my past education, Pedro, who has not been mentioned thus far, engaging in a game known as Broken Picture Pwn. Additionally, another individual by the name of Jace also participated in this same activity. As fate would have it, I found myself caught in a precarious situation, one where I was simultaneously threatened and ushered into a meeting with my parents. How did I manage to find myself in such a predicament, you ask? Well, it can all be attributed to none other than the infamous troublemaker, Peyton. Let me regale you with the events of that fateful day. Broken Picture Pwn is a simple game. One person puts a word of description of something, another person draws it and the next person has to guess what it is. This, however, can lead to some, well, questionably cursed results. Like the time I typed Pedro the Killer, which was an ongoing joke in our group. To my surprise, Pedro had created a visually striking character in the style of Tim Burton, and Jace perceived it as Sweetie Todd the Demon Barber on Fleet Street, the popular film from 2007. We played round after round. Let me tell you, it was an experience filled with highs and lows. Next we played chess on our computers. Jace had been boasting about his skills, claiming he never loses, and we were about to put that to the test. As we took turns moving pieces, it was clear that Jace was not great. Pedro and I didn't struggle to keep up, and by the end of the game, it was evident that Jace is bad at chess. As the bell rang to signal the end of class, I made my way to the art room. To my surprise, a new student had joined our class, none other than Ryan Fawzi. In a friendly gesture, I greeted him with a wave, wondering if he would recognize me. He did. "Oh, hey Logan," Ryan Fawzi nonchalantly stated. Hold up, did he just use my actual name? This was a true rarity, folks. Usually, Ryan would come up with some ridiculous nickname like Low Gangster or something like that for me that only made sense in his own head. But this time, he threw me for a loop by using my real name. Maybe he just forgot my nickname. As the scheduled game truck event approaches, it would be advantageous to confirm Hala's attendance. I intend to inquire during the allotted time after class, when I am able to engage in conversation with Ryan. We will be engaging in a wide array of games, including those that possess the ability to challenge one's mental fortitude, I announced with enthusiasm. Ryan chimed in with a nonchalant response, "I have long parted ways with my sanity, but I am happy to let Hala join in." I retorted, "Do not fret, I lost mine as well, a long time ago." I quickly told Hala. I blurted out, "Ryan said you could come." Hala hesitated and replied with a questionable look on her face, "I don't know though." To which I retorted, "But Grant's coming." And just like that, Hala's hesitation vanished and she triumphantly exclaimed, "I'm coming." Are you ready for the most exhilarating part of the chapter? Brace yourself for the drama, the jaw-dropping twists, and the juicy details that you've been eagerly anticipating. Get ready to be immersed in a world of excitement as we dive into the most captivating section yet. Hold on to your seats. It's time to experience all the thrills and suspense you've been craving. Get ready for the ultimate roller coaster ride as we finally delve into the most thrilling and intriguing part of the chapter. Trust us, you won't want to miss a single word of this. Are you excited? Let's dive into the drama and let the juicy stuff unfold. I was thrilled to unveil something to Thathus. It was a unique beep sound that I believed could have practical applications. All was going well until the sound unexpectedly blasted through my headphones, causing a stir among my peers. The unfortunate incident provoked an outburst from Jose, who criticized my behavior as that of an autistic kid. This statement had serious implications and set a dangerous precedent for aggression towards individuals with an intellect-focused disposition. Determined to defend their misguided principles, my colleagues rallied and assumed threatening positions, ready to attack me. I was about to get a fist to the face from Peyton before Couch Capel walked in and calmed the class down. "I will kill you. Just wait," I heard Peyton whisper as class ended and she peeked her head out the door. The situation was far from over. In fact, it was about to take a terrifying turn. I was abruptly summoned to the office, with no explanation given. My heart raced as I walked through those doors, only to be met with a chilling sight. My parents, along with a group of my teachers, were all gathered in the room. Panic set in as I racked my brain, trying to figure out what I could have possibly done to warrant such a gathering. The tension in the air was suffocating as I awaited their announcement. What had I done to cause this unexpected confrontation? The truth was finally revealed. It turns out they didn't have some sinister motive after all. They just wanted to have a simple conversation with me about my future and all that cliched nonsense. But amidst their seemingly harmless intentions, there was one chilling factor that sent shivers down my spine: the constant fear of Peyton barging into the office at any given moment. My mind raced with adrenaline-fueled thoughts as I sat in that daunting room, surrounded by those who held my future in their hands. Every second that passed felt like an eternity. Each ticking of the clock was a reminder of the high stakes at hand. I couldn't help but wonder, what would be the outcome if my worst nightmare came to life and Peyton made an unannounced appearance? The mere thought of having to face Peyton, if she told my parents everything that was going on, sent a surge of panic through my body. My palms were clammy, my heart pounding against my ribcage, and I could feel the sweat trickling down my spine. I was a slave to my own fear, trapped in this office with no way out, and at the mercy of those who held my fate in their hands. As the conversation wore on, my mind was consumed with thoughts of Peyton's looming presence. Would she sabotage my future with her cunning words and devious tactics? The mere thought of being in the same room as her was suffocating, making it hard to even take a single breath. In that intense moment, I realized that the true terror did not lie in the conversation about my future. It was the thought of having to face Peyton, in that room at any given moment. My parents' presence alone was enough to make my worst fears a reality, and the consequences would be dire. So, there I sat, frozen in fear, waiting for the inevitable moment when the door would burst open and Peyton would enter. It was a never-ending cycle of dread and anxiety, and I was at the mercy of fate. As I breathed a sigh of relief, I couldn't help but thank the powers above for finally putting an end to the intense situation I had just experienced. The moments leading up to this were filled with uncertainty and fear, and I never thought I would be able to make it through. As I made my way back home, I was met with an eerie silence. I had expected someone, anyone, to be there to comfort me in my time of need. Yet, to my surprise, there was no one around, except for Dyson. We decided to take a ride around, hoping to take our minds off of the recent events. Little did we know, fate had other plans for us. As we were cruising down the street, we happened to run into Zadie, quite literally. "Wow, Logan, what are the odds of running into you here?" exclaimed Zadie as I dusted myself off from the ground. "I had no idea you lived in this neighborhood," I replied, still taking in the surprise of seeing an old friend in such an unexpected place. "Well, I've been living here for about 4 years now," Zadie informed me. Curiosity piqued, Dyson interjected, "Wait, who is this Logan?" Chuckling, I clarified, "Oh, you mean Zadie. We go way back, like 3rd grade kind of way back. She's an old friend of mine." During our journey to my residence, Dyson abruptly uttered, "Hey," without stirring up any trouble, "isn't Zadie the cousin of the girl who caused you harm a few years back?" I responded nonchalantly, "Yes, so what? It's a thing of the past now, isn't it?" Dyson persisted, "I was just thinking, maybe that girl could assist us." To which I countered, "Dyson, real life is not like fairy tales. People don't just forgive and join your ranks the following day." Brennan and Huller have displayed commendable altruism in their provision of assistance, despite not being obligated to do so, Dyson exclaimed. I recounted the events that led us to encounter Brennan. It was all thanks to luck, or so I thought. But before I could finish my sentence, Dyson interrupted me with a piercing question. "Was it really just luck, Logan?" His eyes glinted with a mix of curiosity and urgency. "Or was it fate?" "Perhaps it was a combination of both." His words sent shivers down my spine. We both knew that fate had a way of leading us to those we were meant to meet. And in that moment, it seemed like Brennan was destined to cross our path. But I couldn't shake off the feeling that it was more than just mere coincidence. Dyson's voice rose with intensity as he exclaimed, "Things can happen not just once, but twice, Logan." His eyes bore into mine, urging me to consider the bigger picture. Could it be that we were meant to meet Brennan again for a reason? But then my thoughts were interrupted when I realized when Dyson was trying to say, "Catherine." My heart sank at the mention of her name. "Not Catherine," I blurted out, my voice trembling. "She would never join our side, not after what we did to her." A flicker of doubt crossed Dyson's face as he asked, "Have you even tried, Logan?" His tone was both challenging and desperate. It was clear that he believed there was still a chance to make things right. Chapter 9. The celebration of Dyson's birthday at Bolorama took place today, bringing excitement and anticipation to the occasion. As the morning began, I woke up at 7 to the sound of my alarm and proceeded to have breakfast downstairs, eager for what the day had in store. However, amid my fervent hopes for a smooth event, a gnawing sense of trepidation lingered, praying that nothing should go awry. As the day progressed, time seemed to have flown by at an exponential pace, with 2 approaching before I knew it. Along with the swift passage of time, other things had also changed in recent days. With regards to the utilization of drones, Peyton appeared to be gradually opting for their use less and less, resorting to their deployment sporadically, perhaps for the purpose of keeping tabs on my activities. On occasion, their stealthy integration into the environment was so seamless that it could easily be forgotten that they were even present. "Hey Logan, you didn't miss too much," Grant's voice echoed from the 2nd floor as I made my way inside. As soon as I entered, Pedro and a few other schoolmates caught my attention, and shortly after, Pedro arrived. Sadly, Ryan Unruh couldn't join us as he was battling a bad case of the flu. As I greeted Grant, I couldn't help but notice the buzz of conversation and laughter among our group of friends. Excitement filled the air as we all gathered together for our weekly hangout session. Pedro chimed in, "Finally, we're all here. Let's make this day count." The rest of the group cheered in agreement, eager to spend quality time with each other. Before we left to go to Bolorama, I heard Dyson's mom yell to Dyson, "So, is Joshua planning to meet us there, or are we waiting for him?" I had only ever knew one person named Joshua, and he and his brother Casson were my next-door neighbors back in Windmill Farms. Probably not the same person though, I hadn't seen them since the day I moved out of Windmill Farms. As the journey to Bolorama commenced, Dyson's mother distributed an assortment of delectable snacks, known as pinwheels, to the passengers in the back seat. These savory treats consisted of a tortilla filled with a combination of cheese, turkey, and other flavorful ingredients. The flavor profile of these pinwheels was exceptionally satisfying, leaving a lasting impression on the palate. The commute proved to be brief, as my companions and I partook in various games and light-hearted banter throughout the duration. Without delay, we found ourselves at our destination, the esteemed Bolorama. We eagerly awaited the arrival of Joshua. Questions arose as to his expected time of arrival. In the midst of this, Nathaniel reached out to inquire about the progress of the event. Our exchange proceeded as follows: Nathaniel: "Greetings, Logan. How is the party going?" Me: "It's proceeding quite well." Nathaniel: "I do wish I could have attended." Me: "Why so?" "Merely to spend time with Raven." Nathaniel: "Why does everyone seem to presume that I have an interest in her?" Me: "Nathaniel, let us recall our recent visit to Dyson's residence. You immediately sought out Raven's whereabouts upon arrival." Nathaniel: "And what of it?" Me: "Such actions only suggest romantic inclination." Nathaniel: "Am I not at liberty to enter any room I please?" Me: "Intruding upon someone's bedroom without invitation is generally deemed inappropriate." Nathaniel: "Very well, I gotta go. Enjoy the remainder of the event." In this manner, our conversation drew to a close. As we eagerly gathered at the designated bowling lane, anticipation filled the air as we awaited the arrival of Joshua. It was not long before someone entered our lane, and as I gazed at the figure, a sense of familiarity overcame me. "Do I know you?" I blurted out, unable to contain my curiosity. Joshua, with a hint of recognition in his eyes, replied, "I believe you might." A brief moment of recollection passed between us, and it dawned upon me who he was. The sight of Casson and his mother confirmed my realization. This Joshua was reminiscent of the one I remembered from my childhood. It amazed me to think that he and Dyson were acquaintances. The likelihood of crossing paths again with him and Casson seemed slim at best. As I indulged in a series of bowling games, I stumbled upon a fascinating discovery: I could utilize the machines to alter player names midway through the game. Needless to say, I couldn't resist the temptation and had a ball, pun intended, by modifying my friends' monikers. Grant's name underwent a monstrous transformation as it morphed into Grantzilla, eliciting both amusement and trepidation from our little group. Dyson, on the other hand, was rebranded as Dyson, causing a ripple of laughter to spread among us. But the pièce de résistance was when I renamed Joshua as Joshua, with the elongated vowels mimicking the sound of a roller coaster ride. I was enjoying myself, fiddling with the player names until Grant interjected, "Logan, it would be wise for you to refrain from altering the player names. I will be keeping a close eye on your actions." Unfortunately, my amusement was curtailed as Grant reprimanded me for my behavior. Nonetheless, I did manage to achieve a commendable score. As the bowling session drew to a close, I found myself engaged in a conversation with Joshua on our way back to Dyson's mother's car. Our discussion covered a range of topics, from life to other personal matters. During our exchange, Joshua expressed his doubts about being remembered by Alexis, stating Alexis probably wouldn't even remember me. In response, I reassured him, saying, I'm certain she would if I mentioned you. I'll make a point to inform her of our encounter tomorrow as we gathered at Dyson's abode. A delectable spread of pizza awaited us, ready to satiate our hunger. As the evening progressed, we engaged in an exhilarating game of Cards Against Humanity, indulging in bouts of laughter and friendly competition. And to my utter delight, I emerged victorious, with my skills and wit leading me to secure the coveted win. It goes without saying, I can proudly say that my triumph was achieved without any trickery or deceit. My victory was pure and untainted, a testament to my integrity and fair play. Chapter 10. The following day, our entire group convened at Justin's residence, where we engaged in various recreational activities and viewed online media. During our gathering, Thaddeus excitedly revealed, "Oh, my dear companions, I have an announcement to share with you all." Naturally, my interest was piqued, and I promptly inquired, "What is it?" To which Thaddeus exclaimed, "I have recently entered a committed relationship, a significant one at that." Anticipating the identity of his new romantic interest, I eagerly inquired, "Who is she?" However, Thaddeus responded with, "I am unable to disclose her identity at this time, but rest assured, it will be revealed in due time." Thaddeus seemed hesitant to share her identity. Grayson acknowledged his hesitation. He encouraged Thaddeus by saying, "Come on Thaddeus, you can tell us anything." However, Thaddeus responded with a firm, "I would rather not." "Listen, guys, he clearly doesn't want to share and that's okay. But if we just give him some space, he may eventually feel comfortable enough to open up about it," I declared. Thaddeus chimed in, "Yeah, what Logan said. Back off and I'll reveal everything in due time." Suddenly the most random thought dawned upon me. The upcoming Night to Shine dance with Abby wasn't just about Peyton targeting me, it was also a threat to every autistic kid attending. Everyone, including Chase, was in grave danger the moment they stepped foot into the dance located at the church. It was clear that Peyton had malicious intentions towards all of them. As I sat there, contemplating my options, it became abundantly clear that I needed to seek out the support of Hala. In the event that things took a turn for the worse, her presence would serve as excellent bait. Thus, I devised a cunning plan and presented it to Hala. Grant coerced me into attending homecoming. Hala explained, before I interrupted her, stating, "Therefore, it is only fair that he returns the favor by accompanying you to the upcoming dance." Before Hala could even respond, I made a beeline for Grant to enlist his help. "Listen, Grant, I need you to strong-arm Hala into attending the Night to Shine dance," I implored. "She'll be a tough nut to crack, but I have faith in your ability to succeed." I approached Grant with my request, which resulted in a comical exchange. "Hey Grant, I need you to persuade Hala to attend the dance," I declared. To which Grant replied, "I'll do my best, but I can't make any promises." Could it be said that time is on my side? This is a question that has been preoccupying my thoughts. Additionally, I contemplate the possibility of Grant's ability to successfully navigate through and convince Hala. Moreover, my musings extend to the aftermath of this period. What will be the perspective of others towards me following its conclusion? Jack's potential return to school. Furthermore, the prospect of rekindling friendships and fostering harmonious relationships among the denizens of Grey Oak looms in my mind. Could this tumultuous experience ultimately bring us all closer together? I am also left to wonder about the prospects of Abby and I attending another dance in the future. Despite the unlikelihood, the uncertainty of what the future holds remains a constant reminder. It is true that we are unaware of what will unfold, as only time will tell. Chapter 11. The eagerly awaited day of the game truck had arrived, and a number of companions began to arrive at the designated location. Amongst them were Grant, Justin, Caden, Jadon, Aidan McCarroll, Abigail Easter, Thaddeus, Chase, and unfortunately, Dyson was unable to join due to illness. Despite their presence, Hulla was noticeably absent. The revelry raged on, with no sign of Hulla in sight. As the hours ticked by, the fear began to creep in. Still no trace of her. My imagination started to run wild with the darkest possibilities, but I dared not speak them aloud, lest they come true. The party carried on, yet the absence of Hulla loomed like a sinister shadow, casting a chilling pall over the festivities. The longer she remained missing, the more unsettling the atmosphere became. Each passing moment only intensified the sense of impending doom. Something was not right. And as the night wore on, I couldn't shake off the feeling that Hulla's absence was just the beginning of something far more terrifying. The party may have continued on, but the looming mystery of Hulla's whereabouts cast a dark cloud of dread that nobody could escape from. Little did we know, things were about to take a sinister turn. Fortunately, it was confirmed to me via electronic communication that Hulla was in a state of living, albeit in a precarious position. Despite this welcome news, the issue at hand was far from resolved. Peyton's acquaintance, Roman, and his associates cannot be understated, as they were previously undisclosed. Roman, a former schoolmate of Hulla, was notorious for subjecting her to taunting and mistreatment during their time in 6th grade. Today in school we had a practice English test. I had Jacob, Hulla, Abby and unfortunately Peyton in my testing room. One of Roman and Peyton's friends named Sanya kept on accusing me of things I didn't do and almost got me into trouble. Thinking about the near future, I felt as though I was going through a mental crisis. I was. "Shut up, Logan, be quiet, Logan," Sanya kept on and on. I went up to tell the teacher that I finished my test. However, as I went to speak to her, she stated words that would ignite a fear within me. "Be quiet or I will call the authorities and have you removed by any means necessary." I didn't speak after that. I did, however, report it to the principal the next day. Night to shine was coming, the dawn of the final hour. It was now or never. Chapter 12. Just a few days earlier, all I could see was the harsh reality, a world where people were not treated equally, simply because they were different. A world so plagued, not just towards a specific race, but towards those with autism as well. Living in a place where equality was supposed to be the cornerstone of society, I couldn't help but question, what were we really protecting? Was it the rights and well-being of all individuals, regardless of their differences? Or was it just a facade, a false promise, to make us believe that we were better than we actually were? The sheer thought of it left me with a heavy heart. I was reminded of the countless stories I had heard, of people with autism being mistreated, ridiculed, and discriminated against. And in that moment, I couldn't help but break down in tears. As I wiped away my tears, I realized about humanity as a whole. It broke my heart to think that there were people out there who would never experience the love, acceptance, and respect they deserved, simply because of their differences. In that moment, I couldn't help but mourn for the injustice and cruelty in the world. It was a heartbreaking realization that people would continue to treat those with autism, or any other form of difference, wrong forever. And as I sat there, feeling completely helpless, the flag outside served as a constant reminder of the broken promises and shattered dreams of true equality. Chapter 13. The highly anticipated Night to Shine event had finally arrived, emanating an air of excitement and jubilation. As I entered with Abby, I couldn't help but feel a hint of unease lurking within me. After all, Peyton could potentially make an appearance and jeopardize the night's festivities. However, determined to have a good time, I pushed these concerns to the back of my mind. However, my fears soon manifested into reality when I realized I had been followed by an uninvited individual throughout the entire evening. This person had managed to separate Abby and I, depriving us of each other's company for half of the dance. In that moment, I couldn't help but feel frustrated and anxious. But amidst the chaos, I made a startling realization. Peyton, who had previously threatened to attend the event and cause trouble, was nowhere to be seen. And I knew exactly why she had caught wind of my expectations and deliberately chose to stay away. As the night came to a close, Abby approached me, holding something in her hand. "Hey Logan, I have something for you," she proclaimed. Naturally, I was curious and eagerly asked, "What is it?" Abby's response caught me off guard as she revealed a thoughtful gift. "I wanted to give you something to remember this night by," she said with a smile. However, before I could fully process the gesture, we were interrupted by a staff member who informed me that I couldn't leave with Abby. It was at that moment that I made a decision. I vowed never to attend another Night to Shine event again. The thrill and joy of the evening had been overshadowed by negative experiences, and I couldn't bear the thought of going through it all again. As I reflected on the events of the night, I couldn't help but feel disappointment. What was meant to be a memorable and enjoyable experience had turned into a tumultuous one. Despite this, I was grateful to have the support of a true friend like Abby, who had made an effort to make the night special for me. With a heavy heart, I determined to move on from this night and look forward to brighter and happier moments in the future. As the saying goes, tomorrow is a new day with no mistakes in it. I choose to believe that better days are ahead. Chapter 14. There was once hope, a glimmer of light at the end of this dark and twisted tunnel of vendettas and grudges. Perhaps it was possible to put an end to all of this chaos, to join forces with our former foes in a desperate attempt to bring peace to this shattered world. But at what cost? What sacrifices must be made to achieve such a utopian resolution? As I sit here, pen in hand, to chronicle the final events of this tumultuous tale, I cannot help but feel the weight of a looming storm upon us. The dawn of a new chapter, filled with uncertainty and anguish, may be closer than we realize. This may be the final hour, but it is far from the end. Gone are the days of calling ourselves warriors, a symbol of strength and unity. Yet, deep within our hearts, we cannot deny the yearning for one last chance at redemption. Who is to say that we cannot rise from the ashes of our past and stand together once more? Dyson, your words linger in my mind, a promise of righting all the wrongs, for everyone. Can we truly find absolution in our actions, or will we forever be haunted by the consequences of our choices? As the seconds tick away and the lines of this final chapter begin to take shape, I can feel the tension building, the anticipation of what is to come. The end may be near, but the journey is far from over. And in the midst of this bittersweet finale, one thing remains certain: we may not be the warriors anymore, but we can still be united, if only for one last time.